Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the RationalInvestor.com's Daily Brief Recap. Dun, dun, dun. It's Monday morning, TGIM, and all that. Sure seems to me like we're getting some pretty overreactionary price action here in the market this morning, but nonetheless, it is what it is. Major media outlets are in full-on fear mode. They've got the market stoked. Interesting, I think you can make the argument that the stock market to a certain degree is nothing more than just a reflection of how people feel. And there's a bit of worry. The only cautionary word that I would have for audience, and actually let's just make sure this YouTube page is working. Are you working? You word that I would have, yeah, is as I did like an hour and a half, hour 5 minute long free video on YouTube yesterday, and I did a long rant on this. I'm just worried that people are getting played a little bit here. In 2004, there was a tsunami in Southeast Asia, Indonesia in particular, on the day after Christmas, and like in one fell swoop, it killed 250,000 people. Boom! Now that's the kind of stuff that I can seriously understand getting people's attention, and the irony of it all is that very little was talked about it in the media here. They did, charitable efforts, survivor efforts, and stuff like that. But it was nothing compared to what you're seeing on the media here. This is getting a little bit ridiculous. And the problem here is you have to understand, people, when it comes to money, and there are a lot of people in this world that's the only thing they care about. They don't give a shit. I mean, excuse my French, YouTube, and I'm sorry, this is not for children. They don't give a shit about how people feel. If they want to stoke you and stoke your emotional reaction into doing something and it serves their purpose, they will. And keep in mind, the media is completely controlled by that 1% now. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. So, yes, like I said yesterday, don't go out, go ahead to your local airport and start kissing everybody. That doesn't make any sense. But at the same time, too, let's not get too wrapped up in this. In fact, actually, somebody on the site even posted, does anybody watching this YouTube video, do you actually know how many people on an annual basis do die from just the regular old flu? Even in just like a country like the United States where you have trackable data on an annual basis, it's a pretty darn big number. So, I spent a lot of time, unfortunately, I try to get the message out to the public, but I just don't know whether the public wants to hear this message. But I honestly believe that the entire world was just played into a massive event in the markets. I put lots of tweets out. In fact, actually, I even put an exhaustive tweet out this morning saying, just understand that there was a lot of incentive for the 1%, the higher ups. $7.5 billion, people. Most of the people watching my silly YouTube videos, we'll never see those kind of dollars in our lifetimes. I mean, this is ridiculously large amounts of money. And what a coincidence. Here we are. Now we're failing at these levels. Oh, what a surprise. The people that needed to get business done at that level, they did that. They actually kept the market just above that level. And what was fascinating is through this past week, there was just an incredible amount of talk. I heard one guy over the weekend saying, oh, this is a whole new world economy. We'll never see recession again. Oh, God, no, don't start talking like that. That's like Bitcoin. Oh, it's going to $400,000 tomorrow. You better buy now. In which direction does it go? So I'm just worried that a lot of the world just really got played hard there. This is going to be a really interesting anecdote. Like, here we are now. And through the daily brief, I talked at length with the audience about this. What an interesting situation now. If you look at the lower time frames, how we're backing up into levels, levels. All my YouTube viewers, they probably are familiar with that expression. And this just happens to be reload zones. And what a coincidence. There's actually people coming in and buying this. And what's worse about this, right, is that the public was completely frozen out of this move. Right? They gapped the market down here right at the bottom, right on the open. Ding, 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 ding. Retail investor, oh, sky's falling, sell everything. And they actually are ending up selling right into levels that the big boys are buying. So frustrating. Anyway, it is what it is. For the purposes of our conversation here today, I think there's some interesting market information that's being given to us. We always like to start off with U.S. dollar index kind of conversations. We've been watching this downtrend line and the 38.2 and how would it resolve. Remember Mr. Burchett, if we had failed here and emmed here and crapped out, then that would have been a clear indication that the bear is still in control. You can see over the past, really you could argue over the past couple weeks, we've been humming and hawing, and the market has actually resolved higher through that level. Interestingly enough, if you just do simple AB equals CDs, look where it's going to take us, right into these previous highs. You see there's a nice wick up here, bunch of trap bulls sitting there. They'd love to get released. And what a coincidence, we happen to be coming into a Fed announcement week coming up. I think it's middle of next week, if I'm not mistaken. Well, no, it's the middle of this week. Silly Brian. Don't even know if I'm alive. So my hunch is look for U.S. dollar index to work its way higher into these levels. There's also, remember our weekly top and bottom of ranges. There's this cheeky little gap sitting right up here at 78.6. So, the direction in the U.S. dollar index, the direction in the European currencies, and I found this fascinating. I've been tweeting out this chart repeatedly of late because I think really this chart says the whole story. And then all of a sudden I wake up this morning and now, what the hell is this? 6E is now an invalid symbol? What's going on here? Which kind of sucks because I want to show you guys this chart, but really I think, maybe we'll show you through the ETF. I think it's FXE. What I think's going on here, this whole risk off kind of trade, is all about this head and shoulders pattern. And remember I had spoken to you guys recently that every new Fed governor, central bank governor, whatever the hell you want to call it, they're always tested by the market. And I, was feeling very bearish of euro through here. Doesn't surprise me. One more little FU move to the upside. And, like I said, on the futures contract, this was very well defined. This looks like a mess. But this was a pretty well-defined, maybe I can show you the next contract because that looks like crap. Why don't we go like H2020? I think that's what you have to do. There we go. That's a better chart. There we go. So, as I said earlier, new Fed governors, they always get tested, people. It's one thing that I've absolutely learned in my 30 years. And I do believe the market is now in the process of seriously going to test this lady's resolve. And ironically enough, I don't think that this risk off trade finishes until we actually hit these objectives. And it's interesting when we look at this. This is a March futures contract. This is basically the front month now. Probably the futures traders, they're probably going to be watching like the June contract because that's probably the trade contract. How do we do this again? 6EM2020. And I have no idea how long the daily brief recap here today is, people. We might be here a while. Sorry. No class today on Monday, so as a result, Brian can really let you guys have it. Might be a good thing, might be a bad thing. I don't know. Anyway. So there's the June contract, and interesting, the June contract's low, it looks extremely vulnerable here, right? So the the spot contract's going to go play with those old lows, but this is what the traders are following. And probably this event right here, the loss of that was probably a huge signal for them. In fact, ironically enough, most sort of professionals are going to go off of clotheslines. And if we go clotheslines, ironically enough, the actual fail was this candle. And it's fascinating, right? Because last Monday was my sort of challenge. Everybody who fancies themselves a day trader, check out Top Steps sort of morning kickoff video as a good way to start your day. And last Monday was a holiday, and it was interesting that the main message coming out of that was watch Lagarde's speech in the coming week. And you can clearly see the market did not like what she had to say. As I said, get ready, folks. Every market tests new governors. Really, in essence, you know what this is all about? And this kind of sucks, but it's true. This is all about, and it might be females, it doesn't have to be males. But this is all about the old school, the boys, right? The 1%, the bankers, going to really test to see whether this chick has any balls. And who's driving the bus here? Quite often new people on the job, they're not that confident in their jobs. And so as a result, if some big boy can push the market around and, see if she's got any kahunas, they'll do that. So interesting to see the June contract. They're getting, and this head and shoulders target, it's saying that this June contract's going to new lows. So be cognizant of that, people. Get ready. I do believe Miss Lagarde's going to find out whether... the sad thing is she's already white, so it's not like we can say she can go gray through this. Does she go bald? I don't know. We will see. Only time will tell. So that's sort of the big message out of currency land that I'm following right now. And that's not a bullish sign for risk. And it's actually interesting too, because euro, not a lot of people are talking about euro. Get that euro price really rocking and rolling, and now everybody's attention will move away from China, will move away from Asia, and it'll be focused back on Europe. So with that backdrop, US dollar moving higher, Japanese yen, we talked about it putting in a bit of a reversal. Not nearly as it just seems to me it's not really we're worried about the U.S. right now, so we're going to run into Japan as the only currency that is safe. I think, looking at this, it's like, holy crap, everybody get the hell out of Europe now, kind of thing. So we had talked, as I said there a few minutes ago, I don't really like the idea of people saying that the stock market is breaking now because of things like coronavirus. I think that's a load of horse shit. I think that the stock market was taken to a very specific level. The 1% had something very specific in mind. Once that event was done, then they walked away from the market. That's what I think happened here. Is it realistic to see equity asset prices move up at this kind of pace? No. Did we have anecdotal evidence from other risk-on assets that, hey, risk-on is not on? Yes. And now it looks to me like they're finally sort of playing catch-up in the stock market. This, tinfoil hats, I don't care what you call it. I mean, I've been in this business forever. I see how these people operate. I think this is an entirely manufactured move. Welcome to capitalism. Interestingly enough, and of course everybody and their brother's beating the drums about gold right now, which scares the hell out of me. I went on a long rant about that yesterday. I don't mind the idea of you hunting gold stocks. I took a look at a bunch of junior gold stocks, and frankly speaking, I'm not really overly impressed with a lot of stocks I did see. There's one little one that I'll talk to you about today that looks interesting. But, I was talking to you guys about wanting to short gold. If the trade setups presented themselves, I was super interested in shorting Newmont. Trade never developed for me, so I never pulled the trigger. Barrick, yes, we had that nasty outside downside key reversal, and yeah, it did lead to one hell of a meltdown. Barrick's just gone right back up and blasted through those highs. But notice, what the hell's going on here? Gold stocks are down on the day? So, something stinks here, I'll tell you that much, by crackers. Did like the idea that there was a nice little key reversal buy signal in the gold and silver stock index, and the market was working its way higher. But, wow, isn't this interesting how, reload short zones. Look how they took the market right up into that level, and somebody just said, that's it. That's the level I want to sell. Sell this thing. Bang! Never a dull moment in this space. I'll tell you that much, by crackers. Does this actually turn into a big honkin' M? It could very easily, folks. I don't know. You don't know what's going to happen in this space. That's why we trade trading plans. That's why we trade setups. I definitely know that this outside upside reversal, it took my enthusiasm away from shorting. We might carve out an outside downside reversal here today. I don't know what's going to happen. In fact, the irony of it all is I haven't done anything here because I'm just sitting here scratching my head. Keep in mind, seasonality, this is exactly when the gold market's supposed to top. So, oh boy. Careful, people. Please be careful. Dangerous, dangerous market here. And, the irony of it all is if you were trading, this would have been an extremely difficult trade to get into. But bot levels, they had move stop to scratch, right? Never came back to scratch. Now they've had move stop to trailing levels. There's 66 right in there. So, the bot traders who took this, trend line breakout, whatever, they're light on their toes. And I don't think they're adding to positions here. It's just, unfortunately, I didn't get a setup here to actually set up a short. Brian, I'm definitely going to keep my eyes peeled. Who knows how this is going to play out, but there just isn't a trade for me now. Risk off assets moving up, no doubt about it. So I had one risk off proxy. I went and shorted the bond market up top here. I was looking like an absolute genius here. And now I'm looking like an idiot. Welcome to a trader's life. Trust me, people, don't put yourself into a position of perfection. You will never be right 100% of the time. Just get used to it. It's the way the universe works. The cool part about this trade, of course, is I did it through an option. So, maximum risk on the option trade is a purchase price itself. And its expiration is actually months away, so there's really no hurry to do anything here. But I was actually quite pleased that I did see some of the sort of junior members on the site were kind of like, well, I was in this trade with you, Brian, but, this started to look really uppy for me. I heard you squawking about how you looked like you thought the market wanted to rally back up top, so I got the hell out of there. So way to go, all you guys. And anybody on YouTube, it's not a bad sort of reference piece if you watch me regularly. If I start humming and hawing and going, this market looks like it wants to go up, probably odds are it's going to turn. It is interesting how a lot of the talking heads were squawking about 170 on the yield on the 10-year holding, and actually we just gapped right through that. So we'll see how this goes. Only time will tell. Because it is a put option that I have on here, I'm not going to touch it, but I might lose money on this bond short. It's totally possible. What I did find fascinating was check out how the gold rallied right up into good old mountain man level there and just got bitch slapped. And it's such a great analogy of that guy. My hunch is, I don't think he has any interest in crypto or Bitcoin or anything, but my hunch is he was in there shorting that gold there this morning. We'll see how it goes. Like I said, only time will tell. I don't know whether this head and shoulders is valid because, gee whiz, that's an awfully steep neckline. A, B, C, D's sort of took us up into that area. I think that's what these lines were. All right. A, B, C, D. So it shouldn't surprise us. We're running into resistance up top here. I'd be really careful. I know there's a lot of people that are super insanely bullish of gold, but I don't know. It definitely is not a place to be a buyer. And if anything, like I said, probably slick, sharp. I wouldn't even be surprised, and this is just commentary, but I wouldn't be surprised if this thing does crap out. We find out Stanley Druckenmiller was in there hitting the gold market up top again. That wouldn't shock me one bit. But the direction is up right at the moment, so as I had sort of pointed out off of these charts, I don't have enough of a justification to short this market yet, so I'm just sort of sitting there just watching. So now it is interesting, and like I said, I can see here Kevin's bling's going off. I probably talk way too much here, but I'm having fun. Yeah, who cares? If you don't like what these daily brief video recaps, you don't have to watch. I'm not going to be insulted if you're like, this is a waste of time. I was very, very interested in the oil market coming back down to key support here. And looking for some sort of bottom. Like the old cliche in my commodities business when I was a broker there was you buy your unleaded the middle of February, you sell it the middle of May, you made money 9 out of the past 10 years. And what's interesting too, and this is exactly like what we just saw on Bitcoin, is hopefully everybody looks at this and goes, wow, that was a V top. So at the very least, and you can also see on a candlestick basis, they've actually left some price gaps up here. So this is a kind of an interesting situation where, of course, nobody's interested in looking at stocks that are going down now. But I might make the argument, take a real good look at your oil names as they come into reload zones, because I think actually you're getting a pretty interesting window. You know, A, B, C, Ds, I think we can project price down into these, sort of $50 area. Our seasonal window for that bottom coming in makes sense. Against previous key lows makes sense. And then when you actually look at some of the stocks, like there's one stock, these are side, I think I joked about that. These are some side bets that we got running on the site right now. Well, there's like one stock that I absolutely love, and it's in the energy patch. And this is a great example where, use the weakness in energy prices, pullbacks into original market structure, gaps to be filled, POC, reload zone, right, to actually be a buyer. So, this is a name where I would use that weakness in oil to actually seriously think about accumulating. So, risk on. I think stocks are playing a bit of catch up here because of the manipulation. But I think risk on is definitely off right now. And it'll probably be that way. My hunch, probably right through this whole Trump impeachment stuff and all that kind of stuff. Bond market, like there's 50% levels now been hit. So anybody who hunted a trade setup off the bottom, congratulations, nice trade. I can see like a reload zone long in there, although I hate bonds, so I don't really want to be long bonds. But 50% levels were just tagged there, so that was your sort of trader's trade profit objective. Way to go, congratulations. And ironically enough, the kick in the pants about the bond market is I think you can actually make the argument we're coming into a new shorting location. Reload zones, here's Mountain Man, all that kind of fun talk, so go figure. Risk off, definitely uppy. It's interesting how risk off is so off, like bonds just going crazy, but the gold is actually painting a bit of a doji here. Remember we talked, this is a pretty darn big level here, so it doesn't surprise me we're seeing some sellers come in there. Couple stock ideas. Actually, this is a commentary on our little side bet. I bought this shipping stock off of the original double bottom. It's worked its way right back down to the bottom. One of our TRI OGs, he likes this shipping stock. It's got a much better looking bottom. And so we made a tentative bet. All right, who's going to win our bet? We started it on the yellow line here. And as you can see, and actually I can't get it over there. But anyway, if these two were equal, David is definitely kicking my ass right now. Way to go, David. Nice trade. And frankly speaking, I'm looking at your stock now going, you know what? That's a goddamn W. Maybe I should go pick some of that up. So that's why I had it on the screen here today. If you are interested in the shipping sector, this is a really interesting consolidation that's going on in this stock. Of course, do your own due diligence. I'm not telling you what to buy or sell. I couldn't care. But I'm telling you, I'm getting really interested in picking up some of this. And I think David, he's really big on inverted head and shoulders. And if he can buy an inverted head and shoulders off of the right neckline, that always makes him really happy. Not quite sure how I would draw this. This looks really messy. I'm not going to say this is right, but something along those lines. So it doesn't surprise me David is super interested in getting long this through here. So we'll see how it goes. And David's turned into a very, very good trader. So I'm thinking maybe I better go pick some of this up. And he's gonna totally kick my ass, but I don't mind that stock that I'm competing with him. This NMCI, I picked up a bit of it through the tax loss selling window there, and basically he's just come right back down to the bottom end of his range. What the hell's the damn symbol again? I forgot. All right, you know what? I'm wasting your time. We'll talk about that another day. So, interesting idea. If you're into shipping stocks, I think David's on to something here. Do your own due diligence. If you're going to buy it, consult your financial advisor. You know the conversation. Not telling you what to buy, just giving you ideas. In the field of junior gold names, because of course, remember, I love junior stocks. I actually am really interested in this one. They just rolled the stock back, so a bazillion to one rollback. Love that. Old shareholders completely destroyed. They're in the gold business. Actually, that was it right there. And, everybody looking at this chart should go, yeah, well, I guess I can understand why that Beamish guy's interested. You can see lots of stock transactions right on the share rollback. I'd like to see things like shares for debt, options to directors. But, just looking at this chart, does this have any room to move back up here? I think so. So this is definitely one I'm going to be keeping on the radar screen. Gold Strike Resources. Now, I don't know whether I'm ready to buy any just now. It is this good example of our RSI little tutorial. You can see the first W's come in to stop the bear slide. So now you want to see the second W come in through that 50 line to tell you she's ready to rock and roll. You can see the W's trying to come in on OBV. You can see the W's trying to come in on MACD. You can see the massive divergence in histogram trying to form. So, this is a name that I'd be like, all right, this is definitely on my radar screen. So, again, I'm not telling you what to buy, but I do like to give you some ideas to think about. So there's definitely one. There's two names. One's in the shipping sector. One's in the junior gold sector. Ideas to chew on here. All right, let's finish quick boo at crypto and the corn, etc. Is crypto a risk-on asset or is it a risk-off asset? Wow, this debate is just raging. You could almost make the argument to a certain degree, especially watching the way gold bottomed here and is moving up and the way Bitcoin bottomed here and is moving up. You can almost make the argument that it's kind of schizophrenic. It's a little bit of one and a little bit of the other. Clearly, Bitcoin's catching a bit of a bid here. Yen, bonds, gold moving up, stocks, oil moving down. So has this completely disconnected from this study? Is this study actually not doing you a favor having this chart over here? I'm not quite sure. I'm a student of the market. I'm just simply watching and learning. I think this is extremely educational. So jury's still out. What asset class does Bitcoin fall into? For me. Maybe you've already made your conclusions. I will say that, like I said, spent tons of time in the broiler chicken show yesterday just basically talking about the corn. So really nothing startling, new, shocking to really talk about here today. Just looking at this is the chart that I like to share with you guys. So nothing really updates here day to day. But, A, B, C, D's, that's sort of this line, that's been completed. And you might argue that that was that blow off top there, that was the completion of that. Then, if you think things like fractals and head and shoulders patterns, that's these purple lines, that was traded too. So, interestingly enough, we are seeing some pretty interesting technical objectives traded too. I think you can actually, believe it or not, call me crazy. I think you can actually start thinking things like AB. Let's maybe do this in orange. CD. Of course, everybody sees that and goes, woohoo! It's not totally unrealistic. What's interesting, I sort of painted on a chart that I did for the public yesterday, where I kind of feel like this is just one huge fractal. Something along these lines. That's kind of what I'm seeing right now. Crazy. That Beamish guy is talking crazy. Sorry. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Only time will tell. I would make the argument that we got half decent buy signals here. I think I've sort of said before, I would have preferred the buy signals come in down at the bottom end of the reload zone, but hey, reload zones are reload zones are reload zones. And I think I even showed you on these daily videos. I mean, we just had an insanely sick Mountain Man reload zone reversal. So the market doesn't have to go down to the bottom of the reload zone. Sometimes it'll just tag Mountain and say, I'm out of here. So I like the idea this is the kind of market we are now climbing the wall of worry. And as we sort of stair-step our way higher, blow off peaks, of course the public comes in, buys the top. Then the market pulls back and we spend like a few days, oh, I'm such an idiot. Oh, it's just going down. Oh, it's all over. Why did I buy? And then, maybe you hit your uncle point psychologically because you're not working with a trading plan or anything. And you're like, fuck it, I just got to get out of here. And then the market goes and surges to new highs. And I got a sneaky suspicion that's exactly what it just did again. What's really cool about this is so Wyckovian, it's ridiculous. So this is in essence, like I said, climbing the wall of worry. You can also think of just like the capitalist model. So wholesalers load up down here. And we're going through the markup process. And ultimately, maybe up here, the public, a huge FOMO. Oh, you got to buy your Bitcoins. It's going. It'll never come back. I can hear it now. We're probably going to cross the 10,000 mark. And you're going to hear people say, you're never going to see below 10,000 again. That's it. You missed your opportunity, sucker. Right? All that kind of talk. It's coming. And of course the public's going to get all insane bullish up top there. So, it is what it is. If you did have the balls to pull the trigger on the W, I think I had said recently on like moves up here, I said, look, just don't let a winning trade turn into a losing trade. Maybe just, move your stop. What I really liked about this Wyckoff check, right, is they came right back down here and then turned it back up. So you could just move your stop to just below that low there. And just let this damn trade work. And here we are. Look at this. Bang, 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 bang. Now, I will say, and I think 50%, and I'm not sure about this particular level. I've just sort of picked a level out of my butt here. Usually I like for people to sort of, at the minimum, shoot for things like 2-to-1 risk reward. So where's that? There's 2-to-1 there. I think it's a good idea on balance, and our level 1 instructor does this a lot with students, is you sort of take, okay, where did I enter this trade? Looks like I entered here. There's my objective. And if we've hit 50% of the objective, then you do those rules like, look, I don't want to see my winning trade turn into a losing trade, move your stop to scratch. I do also like, our level 1 instructor. He likes to actually take my bot trading system and apply the rules. Of course, I was going to do it backwards. Actually, that's not even what I wanted. Take the bot trading rules, and then once we hit sort of 2/3 of the anticipated move, 66%. That's weird. I thought I had a 66% on here. There, we'll go like this. Bot trade. Let's see, is it the right direction? It is not. Once we hit sort of 66%, then think about things like trailing stops. Interesting how we hit 66%, V-top, and then just came screaming straight down. Maybe you move your stop to, if we can break this high, right? You're just moving your stop up with market structure. This objective right here, like we said, excuse me, 9,800, that kind of idea. It's a bit aggressive. But, anywhere up top here, if people were like, well, you know what, I kind of got chicken shit. I wanted to just book a profit psychologically. I can live with that thinking. I would actually recommend most people that you don't get into the business of tinkering with the trade halfway through. But, that's not a conversation for today. So there's sort of your corn picture. Nothing's really changed. What was really cool about this is we actually had what's called a megaphone set up last night. And off of lower time frames, you had really nice little, actually you can see the 3-bar fractal there. And that's just working away now. And believe it or not, right, that megaphone objective, you're just going to simply draw a line off of these peaks. Do you use that peak? Or that peak? I think I would be inclined to use that peak, right? And so that paints an objective up there anyway. So I wouldn't be surprised to see the corn head up top here. What I will say though, is we do need to understand this and acknowledge this. It's a higher time frame fail level. This is a pretty big level here. So should it surprise us if somebody put a top in here and said you go down, that they're going to come up and defend this level? Remember, it was Mountain Man. So on the initial tag of that level, right, those people that put the top in there, they were like, get your ass out of there. What are you doing up there? And Mountain Man, guys like him, they come in and say, damn, I got to short this. I have no choice. That's what I do. So that doesn't surprise me. As I said, cute little megaphone coming out of here. So my hunch is a lot of those sort of like Mountain Man kind of guys, when they saw this megaphone reversal down here, they're probably like, get me the hell out of here. Also, too, wicks and tails, right? Remember, look at that. We got a big old wick there. You know there's a bunch of trap bulls in there. They're going to want to get released, which means that's a sell order. So don't be surprised if we see a bit of resistance in here. And then lastly, what do you think the odds are? This is a reload short zone. So you can see we are now right up into that reload zone, coming up into these candle body highs. Ironically enough, if this is actually a bull and the bulls are really in control, this stuff down here is not really meaningful. This stuff here is that dead cat bounce off of those lows. If this really is a bull, this is actually now when the bull has to step up and just blast this thing up through these old highs. I don't know if she's got that kind of firepower behind her right now. She's looking pretty strong. And if we go down to our, our RSI studies and all that kind of stuff to try and tell us, that's not the best looking move. I would rather have seen this blasted through these highs on momentum. MACD itself is still actually negative. The only good part about this, I suppose, is OBV is Wing out here. So, like I said, if this is a bull, we want to see these bulls step up and break this sort of declining trend we're seeing in bull volume bars. And actually, I'd like to see this RSI blast off through the top here and break that M. If we roll over here and then crap out and go through this low, that will be that second M that stops this whole bull run. So no real message out of the studies here on the higher time frame. Everything's still pointing up, but This isn't a new push, right? When you get a move through here, this is a new push. Like, holy crap, strap on your seatbelt. If I'm not mistaken, I think this was a setup off the hourlies that set up that scenario, and that's this one, right? So this is a 4-hour chart. Beg your pardon. So 4 hours. There's that 50 line with the doubles, W's. And remember in the broiler chicken show yesterday, I even said, and I said this in the daily brief today. I said, for God's sakes, if you're looking at a chart, this was right in here. And we were looking at this. Don't short this. This is asking for trouble, stepping in the face of such a bullish-looking chart. Well, what do you think? Was that a good idea not to short that? I think so. So the problem here now is RSI is now overbought. There's that third trend line that we want to watch out for. That's probably a trap. And, off of the lower time frames, if this starts emming out, then that tells us that this bull was a purple third one was a trap, and actually the bull is on pause now. So this is very, very late in this move, no doubt about it. And, of course, like I said, reload zones, original structure, resistance, and gee whiz, like I said, coming into that profit objective. If anything, what I want to hear from people is that they're ringing the bell and they're paying themselves for taking the shots off the bottom here. Doesn't mean you can't leave a little bit of the position on, and if this thing does go apeshit, you're still in the position to a certain degree. But please, this is not the place to go and put new positions on. Okay, I talked a hell of a lot there today. Sorry, everybody. Sure hope you got some value out of all of that. Nothing really too exciting other in altcoin land, other than I'll say that we're seeing, on these perp indexes, we see they're trying to stabilize here after emming out a little bit, which I suppose is encouraging. One name that we were kicking around over the weekend that looks really interesting is this Wanchan, because it hasn't run up yet. So if you're looking for new ideas in the crypto altcoin space, keep an eye on this Wanchan. Looks really interesting there. And I think, as I said to you before, we'll know that this market is dead, it's toast, when these perp indexes em out in earnest. They started to flash little Emmys, but now they're actually trying to turn back up. So everybody goes, oh, phew. Not a bear yet. Okay, everybody, you got an extra long session there today. Sure hope you got some value out of that and some ideas to think about. All the best, and bye for now.